Well, former Congresswoman Nina Turner, left of practically every Democrat, even if she isn't as left as we are, lost to neoliberal Democrat-backed Shontel Brown in the Ohio special election for Congress last night. Now, Brown was the choice for Hillary Clinton, James Clyburn, and the rest of the liberal elite, but she was also notably backed by the reactionary pro-Zionist lobby group Democratic Majority for Israel. Yes, they are definitely reactionary because DMFI obviously opposes the boycott, divestment, and sanction movement against Israel as anti-Semitic. And they spent $738,000 opposing Nina Turner in this race and $203,000 supporting Shontel Brown, with a large portion of the money, $351,000, going towards producing and airing anti-Turner attack ads and smaller amounts going to digital platform advertising and direct mail pieces. Brown notably thanked her, quote, Jewish brothers and sisters during her victory remarks, adding how her 2018 trip to Israel gave her insight into the importance of the U.S.-Israel relationship. I'm guessing she didn't see the open-air prison that is Gaza or the poverty and the oppression that Palestinians live in, or let's just say she doesn't care because they couldn't finance her campaign the way Israel did. But it is important to note that the Northern Ohio district, which includes much of Cleveland and bits of Akron, is home to the state's largest Jewish community. Just over 20,000 Jewish voters make up about 5% of the general electorate. So the campaign ads against Turner that made the difference, of course, painted her as anti-Semitic because Turner has been vocal about ending U.S. support of Israel's occupation of Palestine. But that's just one part of the story. The other part is that many of Brown's financial backers are also backers of the GOP and of Trump in particular. Matthew Cunningham Cook reports in The Intercept that New England Patriots owner and Trump supporter Robert Kraft and the former chair of the Cuyahoga County Republican Party, Roger Sennenborg, contributed directly to Brown's campaign, and a list of other Republican contributors who gave money not directly to Brown's campaign, but gave to DMFI, which then used that money for the anti-Turner ads, exposes the depths to which so-called Democratic politicians will go to ensure that anyone left of their capitalist, neoliberal, Zionist, apartheid-supporting principles are not challenged. And I can't help but think of a quote I heard recently. I think it's from Hubert Harrison, but if I'm wrong, somebody feel free to correct me. And the quote goes, "Show me who feeds you, and I'll show you whose song you sing." Whose song do you think Shontel Brown is going to sing in Congress? Working class and poor people? We've seen who feeds her. So we know whose song she'll be singing, and it won't be ours. And I gotta say, the new eviction moratorium for the CDC is a Band-Aid being applied to a gunshot wound. I'm not entirely sure that everything I saw at the Capitol last night when Representatives Cori Bush and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was not part political theater, and I need to say that we need to be very careful about not wanting to criticize politicians when millions of people's lives are on the line because they're our favorite or because they have done good work in the past. Now, I'm not wild about the way people who asked what would be done about the 10% of the folks who aren't covered by the CDC's new targeted moratorium were shut down and drowned out by music played from Bush's campaign staffers and then were shouted down by folks wanting to celebrate a win. I'm not going to say that the CDC moratorium is nothing, but is it a win when thousands of people have already been evicted? Homelessness has already risen because of that, and more people will still be evicted who are not covered by this new moratorium. And in October, we'll be right back here again, fighting for the same thing. Is this a win, or was this the can being kicked down the road by the Democrats with the help of some progressives this time? You know the answer is it's been kicked down the road. But I had an interesting conversation with Representative Al Green of Texas, who shed a little bit of light into the situation for me. First of all, I appreciate him taking the time to talk with me at all, just moseying on through the crowd like the OG that he is, chilling out and seeing what the kids were doing. And then I asked him why the new moratorium wasn't universal, why it didn't cover everyone like the previous one did. And Representative Green answered, saying that he didn't know why. He did not know why the Biden administration did not push for a complete moratorium like the last one. He said that there comes a time when you have to stand up for people, stand for something, and this was one of those times. And he didn't see the administration doing that with this targeted moratorium that did not cover everyone. Representative Green said that while it's great that there was a response to do something, the pandemic didn't start yesterday, the evictions didn't start yesterday, and this wasn't enough. More has to be done. And then he said that we, meaning the lawmakers on Capitol Hill, have to know where we stand on these issues. We have to force some votes on things sometimes so the people know who is standing for them and who is not. And this is important to me because one of the criticisms that people have of Representative Bush and Representative Ocasio-Cortez is that they didn't want to force a vote for Medicare for all. And that's an incredibly important conversation in this pandemic and eviction issue, reasoning that there weren't enough votes to pass it. But as I'd argued over and over again, and very heatedly last night with someone at the Capitol also, forcing floor votes is not done to pass legislation all the time, as much as it is a tool to expose to the people who in the party is on the side of the people or not. Now, that's coming from Representative Al Green, not me. And if that man who's been at politics for as long as he has understands that, I don't know what people don't get. So what does this all mean? Is Cori Bush a fraud? No, I wouldn't go that far. But I do see the political play in last night's announcement at the Capitol and how that was handled. Dissent isn't welcomed, even with some progressives, and I don't think that's a good look. I also see the need for deep political education is still very, very critical, probably more critical now than ever, since so many who were there were happy to celebrate this announcement as a win and leave that 10% of the people and those already evicted and homeless to pretty much fend for themselves. Confronting politicians in the moment and engaging people one-on-one are tactics we need to continue to use simultaneously in this fight because it is far, far from over. Follow Luqman Nation on patreon.com/LuqmanNation for lots of great content.